Another thing I love about embracing atheism is that regardless of the lies church and religion says, there is no perfect family. There is not one perfect family model, and that the nuclear heterosexual fantasy is not a perfect family. Because the kids that grow up in these environments, how accepting do you think these people are of their kids who decide I'm not straight, or they figure out that I'm trans? Do you think these perfect heterosexual families are going to be accepting 100% of the time? I don't think so. I don't think so. And the sad part about all this is that the church worships a type of family, regardless of is it a good family. And I'm not kidding. They actually do. When you reach the age of 18 to 35, all women are expected, pressured, and shamed if they're not heading toward marriage. That's the only reason why Christians date, to get married. They don't date because it's fun. They don't date because they're learning about life. They just don't. If you read the book, I Kiss Dating Goodbye, it basically says that anybody who is dating for fun is sinning. The way marriage is explained in Christian books, in Christian libraries, makes marriage seem like the worst chore imaginable. Where the expectation of women is so high that men's expectation is the bare minimum. Women are supposed to do everything, and men are just expected to love their wives. Why wouldn't you? Why are men commanded to love their wives? Why are you married to this person? And why do you share a life together if you don't see the person as an equal and treat them as though they were the best thing that's ever happened to you? If you have to be told to love your partner or treat them with the highest form of respect, what kind of sick person are you? You're the worst narcissist imaginable. And women are always expected to wear every hat. Being a religious, biblical wife is the most awful role I can ever imagine. I used to have nightmares about waking up and having a nuclear family because it sounded like misery. And it really is. You can want to have kids in a family, fine. Just don't be boring about it. Don't be a stereotype. Be unique and interesting. The most miserable women I have ever known in my life were the wives in biblical marriages. And it took them decades to figure out they weren't the only woman in this biblical marriage. Because infidelity is real high. Because the Bible really doesn't say a lot about how husbands are supposed to treat their wives, but it has a lot of passages on how to be the perfect woman. Women always get the short end of the stick in every relationship. And that's just the way Christianity is. Because biblical marriage is not about happiness. It's about giving everything up. And if you're not a man in a biblical marriage, you're never the primary actor on stage. You're always the secondary person whose hopes and dreams aren't as important as the man's. And for a lot of women, their entire identity in biblical marriage is supporting the man's dreams. That's it. Imagine living 80 years on this planet and your husband isn't expected to support your dreams, your career, And if anything happens where somebody has to give up their career to keep an eye on the kids, I've never seen a man give up his career. Unless his career was working from home. And women always give up, work hardest, do everything. That's just their job. And if a man can't live up to his potential in the biblical marriage, the women are still blamed. Men having adulterous affairs, women are blamed for not giving him enough sex. So maybe in their mind, that's why Epstein targeted and did bad things. He didn't get enough sex. That doesn't make sense at all. You can have sex 20 times a day and still cheat. I've watched Oprah. There are dozens of men on that show over the years that cheated on their wife on their honeymoon. You can have sex 20 times a day and still cheat. The nuclear family is like the American dream. You have to be dead or asleep to believe it's true. And that's what the nuclear family is and was. It's a religious, conservative, political propaganda tool. Because the worst acts in American history were deemed biblical because of the American dream. The American dream is always about the family. And that's just the way it is. And it shouldn't be that way. There is no perfect family. There is not one size fits all. And until religion, church, and politics treats two guys raising a girl with as much respect as a mother and father raising a boy, then our country's doomed. Sometimes the most loving families aren't the most traditional. I mean, you look at the Addams family. They're one of the most healthy families on television. And they're not like any other family. And I have met a few heterosexual nuclear families that loved each other and cared about each other. But the biblical marriage, the biblical family unit, it's all about power, white privilege, and control. Because biblical marriage can't exist if both people view themselves as equals. Because biblical marriage doesn't see women as an equal partner. And marriage is a partnership. I don't believe, based on what I've seen, that equality can exist in a patriarchal institution. You can't. Marriage has always been about what men can get and what they can take from women. So I don't believe that one type of family is better than another. As long as the people married aren't related and they're adults, consent, and are enjoying their life, I don't care what gender, religion, or whatever it is. Heterosexual marriage is not better than gay marriage or a romantic marriage, a sexual marriage. I don't care. One family is not morally or civilly superior. And anyone who thinks one marriage is better than the other is a bigot. And until I know what their home life is, I don't judge people. Unless I should. Because I've seen some crazy things working in the medical field. But Christianity and politics worships the nuclear heterosexual family. But women never had equality there. They've never been equal. They're still not equal. Because men still see domestic labor as feminine. Even though the most famous chefs in the world are men. And that the most successful interior decorators or the people who enjoy doing domestic labor aren't stereotypically women. So it doesn't make sense, but they try to make it make sense, even if it doesn't fit. And that's the big problem. When there's only one right way to do something, you miss out on something else. In my entire life, my family entirely erased anything that wasn't straight. Anything that wasn't marriage, even heterosexual people who weren't married but had a partnership. If it wasn't marriage, my family erased it. And that's why I love atheism. Because it taught me that every consensual, loving partnership is worthy of respect. That even families that aren't traditional, where there's two mommies, two daddies, or there's a surrogacy thing where someone can have two mommies, two daddies, is entirely as valuable as any other union. You don't even have to have a legal union for it to be worthy of value and respect. Some of the longest partnerships in Hollywood didn't include marriage, and still haven't included marriage. As long as it works for you and it makes everyone involved the best version of themselves, who the fuck cares whether it's a heterosexual thing or not? Personally, I think marriage is outdated, and marriage has always hated women. But if that's the route you want to go, and it works for you, and you find someone who wants to be married to you, fine. I just live my life the way I want to. And I will not be married because it's not my passion. And that's my business.